So over to you, Mirdas, and I'm very, very keen and happy to see you and hear from you, and all the best. And let's hear you. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mirdas, CEO and co-founder of Plugin Hive. So it's my pleasure to be here talking to you on the occasion of Innovation Week, and I would like to thank Geeta ma'am for giving me this opportunity. Plugin Hive provides shipping and online booking solution to the e-commerce merchant across the globe. Currently, we have around 70,000 merchants across 70 plus countries using our software. Thanks for Tina for giving an introduction about our product. We are a certified partner for world leading shipping companies like FedEx, UPS, Australia Post Stamps, USA, etc. A company established in 2015 has been growing since then. We are a 20-member team located in Bangalore. So basically what we do is we work with a small and medium enterprise, and we provide them to provide an Amazon Prime-like experience. For example, a small enterprise where they receive, let's say that 3,000 orders in a month, 100 orders per day. So it's very, very difficult for them to automate the entire shipping scenario. So they take at least a week to deliver the product, but the customers are expecting an Amazon Prime-like experience. That's where we pitch in. So we help them to automate the complete scenario. We provide them the same, we help them to provide the same experience what an Amazon or Flipkart provides. We primarily work with the small and medium enterprise. So that summarizes where we are today. And it's just beginning of our journey, and lot more to accomplish. So today on the occasion of Innovation Day, basically I know all the students love stories. So I would like to share. I would like to make my experience into 6 stories, 6 small stories. I would like to make it, and I would like to share that and what are things I've learned from that, and which helped me to sail through ups and downs in my career and in my entrepreneur journey as well. So the first story that starts in my school days, in my college days, where I was doing my bachelor's in mathematics. So I was fond of solving problems. So that's where this innovation. So for me, I do not relate too much with innovation. So I always say that the moment you say innovation, it becomes little tough to understand. What am I supposed to do? Okay, let me start. Let me get up today and let me innovate something. It's a little difficult to understand. But solving problems, so I relate too much to a problem solving rather than the innovation. And I used to dream. I love to dream aloud. So you can solve the problem you dream. So if you combine these two things, you can achieve pretty much everything. So in my school days as well in mathematics, I used to solve a lot of problems, algebraic equation and things. I love to do that. So on one day I was sitting and doing solving my problem. I was working out on some algebraic equation. So I was not able to solve. So my father came and asked me, Mirdas, what are you doing? Quite some time you are spending on something. What are you doing? Yes, I know my father is quite good in his problem solving skill, and he plays chess at a very good level. But I was pretty much confident that he will not be able to solve, because he is not a graduate. So I was pretty sure that he will not be able to solve a problem which is supposed to be solved by a graduate. So I didn't answer to him. I just said something, and I just moved on with my focusing on my problem. So that's when he after a couple of minutes again, he came back and he again insisted that, Mirdas, come on, what are you doing? So then I thought, okay, you would like to know. So so this is what it is. So I just give my algebraic equation in front of him and say that, so there is one x and there is one y. We have to find the values for this. So that's all. So yes, that's all we have to do. Okay, so then he started looking into the problem. He was not carrying any pencil, or he was not writing anything on the book. He just looked at the problem. He was working out something. I was really, really curious. What is he thinking about it? Because without having a standard equation and without having a preparation, how he can solve it? So he's just staring at my book. But to my surprise, he answered me the value of X and the value of Y. So that was that was a really, really wow moment in my life. My respect to my father suddenly increased, and I was really, really on my feet. All my attitudes, all my arrogance had gone away, and I was on my feet. I asked my father, uh, um, Father, I call it Uppa. Uppa, how did you solve the problem? How did you get it? You don't know any equation, anything. How did you solve it? He said, no, I don't know any equation. But what I did is I randomly applied numbers. Like I started giving number to X, I started giving numbers to some value to Y. So when I started doing it, that I did the adjustments accordingly so that the equation has to be correct. That's all I did. So then I was able to find out the exact number which can match. So that's really, really blown me away, because that's when I understood one of the biggest lesson in my life, which I would like you also to understand, that it doesn't really matter who you are, whether you are coming from an IIT, whether you are coming from an NIT, whether you are coming from Oxford University, it doesn't really matter. So what matters is, can you solve the problem? Can you solve the problem better than anybody else? So then that's all it matters. So that gives me a confidence to move on. That gives me a confidence to take on anybody. So when we work in a company, we are literally competing against the world. So when we say that we operate in more than 70 plus countries, so we provide solution to 70 plus countries. I think maybe Tata may not be giving a solution to 70 plus countries, but we provide a solution to 70 plus countries. So literally you need to have that kind of a confidence that if you can solve the problem, you can take on anybody. So that's the first lesson from my life. Moving on. After that, after my graduation, I have moved on, and I have joined MCA in 2000 to 2003. That's when I met Geeta ma'am first time. So I didn't have any programming background. I never touched a computer. I have not touched a computer. I have not booted what computer. That time I've joined MCA, and I didn't have much idea about what is programming. Somebody said that rather than doing all these courses, you just better go and do a post graduation. That's how I and somebody suggested that, okay, if you are good in problem solving, I think programming is some area it will be interesting for you. So that's when I joined MCA in 2003 batch, where Geeta ma'am was the head of the department. So all my friends were pretty much everybody was coming from either a BCA background, or most of them have a good programming understanding. They have done some course from NIT or Aptech and things like that. So all were pretty good. At least they had a fundamental knowledge, and I was one of the few had absolutely no knowledge about programming. And in fact, I have seen laptop or computer before, but I've never touched a laptop at that time. So the faculty and the lab attendants helped me to how to press the button, how to boot the computer, how to boot a Turbo C and things like that. They helped me. It was a love at first sight. I really loved the programming. I started with C. I still remember my initial programs. I used to write array multiplication. I still remember. Evaluation of expression, I remember still. I've started writing a lot of programs, and to an extent, I was one of the first student to come out of my after six. So the guy who started to learn how to switch on the program, how to switch on the laptop. In 6 months time, I was the one who came out of my C++ C lab in just less than 30 minutes. I still remember the appreciation I got from Geeta ma'am, saying that Mirdas, you did a excellent job, and you performed way beyond what we expected from you. So that gives me a second biggest lesson in my life, because when I joined, I was really thinking that I'm lacking behind all these guys. These guys have started their programming much earlier in their career, so I really will not be able to catch up. But that 6 months really give me the second biggest lesson in my life. It doesn't matter when you started the journey. You start you start your journey at 15, you start your journey at 7. See, my daughter, she's 7.5 years old now. She can operate a computer very well, and she started doing basic programming as well. And so it doesn't really matter what age, 7 you're starting, 15 you're starting, 20 you're starting. It doesn't matter when you start your journey. All that matter is how much you are into it. So when you recognize your passion, when you recognize something, oh, this is really, I'm really liking, I'm really liking. So it doesn't matter what age you are getting into it. All that matter is how much you are into it. Then yes, after that we have done a lot of programs in the college days itself. I have we have even worked on complex problems, like in my mini project we were doing the web chat. So that time web chat was not common or not available. So most of the MSN and other Yahoo Messenger you have to install in your PC to have the chat facility. But I have worked on a mini project where web chat was there. So a lot of programs we have done. Three years we have literally done a lot of programs. We were not really expecting any companies to hire us and teach us the programming. We have done lot of program. After almost completing 17 to 18 years in my career, I can confidently now also say that one of the best programs I have written in my college days is one of the best programs I have written. After that, I moved on. I was really charged up. I was really ready in 3 years of my course. I was really charged up. I was really ready to take on any challenges comes across to us. I was really charged. I was really looking for some opportunity to get into a job, so that I can prove my skill and I can take my skills to next level. So that time I was not really bothering about which technology, which companies, big, small, salary. I was not really bothering about all these things. I was really looking for an opportunity to kickstart, and I was really charged up. So I started working with a small company in Kerala, and they have given me a job. I was excited. I've joined the organization. But the issue was that the work was not that challenging, because I've done much complex programs in my college days. So the program what the company gave me was not up to my expectation. So the assignment was given to me was to convert files. So there will be thousands of CSV files, and I am supposed to convert that into an MSDB file, and I have to return that file to the client. So yes, client will pay per file, client will pay money to us, and the company was also happy with that, and that's a work. I got that work. What I've done is I have written a program to completely automate that. So all I need to do is just press a button. All the CSV file will be automatically converted to MS Access, and the Access file and MS Access DB file will be ready. I have shared this. I've shared this program to my boss and said that, boss, see, now all you need to do is just press a button. Yes, we are ready with the file, and we can take money from the customer. That's all. That's what I told my boss, and I handed over this program to my boss. That's when my third takeaway for you comes into the picture. My boss asked me to send the entire application to the customer. He said that, so I was not expecting that. I never expected, because it was a small company. Whatever money we were getting at that time was very, very important to the organization. So I never imagined that he will ask me to give this application to the customer. So after that, customer will be able to just press a button and do it, and they don't need us. They will not be paying us anymore. That was very, very surprising to me, that he asked me to send it across to the customer. So we have sent it across to the customer. Customer was blown away. He was saying, "Oh my God! All I need to do is just press a button, and all the CSV file got converted to MS Access. I was not expecting this. I was not expecting this. Thanks a lot." And he appreciated us, but unfortunately, we lost the business. So from that time onwards, there is no CSV conversion. There is no MSDB creation. Nothing. Customer himself will press the button and do it. And he has created some cron job and doing so. That work is completely stopped. Couple of months down the line, the customer came back. This time he came back with a bigger project. That time, initially he came with a BPO kind of an execution, kind of outsourcing work. This time he started involving us with a with an engineering in the development side. He started involving us, and slowly it grew up in that we become one of the core members who will contribute to his their development. So he was never considering us for the development activity before, only because of the program which we sent it to them made them realize that we are even capable to involve in the development side of it. So that was the biggest lesson. I would say that in the entrepreneurship, that was one of the major lesson which I have learned, is that entrepreneurship is a marathon. It's really you guys have to think about this point. When in any point of time, any point of your career, if you say that, okay, I would like to start a company. So the point is here that you see only 1% or 0.1% of the companies who are successful outside. But the journey to become that 1% of companies, it's really tough. So entrepreneurship is a marathon, with no shortcut for success. There is no shortcut. So the only people you have to be, when you are ready for this, you have to be really ready for a marathon. So after that, I've started getting a lot of opportunity. I've worked with a lot of customers, a lot of companies. I worked with Mindtree. So in the 5 years of my career, I got so much of opportunities to work and resolve the problems, work with various customers across the globe. So that helped me to grow in my career, grow my confidence, everything. It happens. So without me realizing that, slightly my arrogance, slightly my confidence was becoming overconfidence, slightly my good attitude and passion was slightly becoming arrogant. I was slightly becoming more and more confident, thinking that it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter wherever I go, whichever state I am, whichever team I work, whichever ecosystem I am there, it doesn't really matter. I'll be able to turn things around. Because I was slightly moving to from a good guy. I came out of the college with a full passion, with a full attitude. I was slightly becoming overconfident. I was slightly becoming arrogant. So that's when I took a new responsibility in a new organization, with a new team, with a new ecosystem, new environment, and I couldn't move a bit there. I couldn't turn around things there. I couldn't perform at least a 10% or a minimum percentage what I performed in my past. I really I could say that I miserably failed in that couple of months in that organization. I miserably failed. That's when I learned, and I really appreciate to the God. I thank to the God for giving me that instant, so that's literally pulled me back to the ground again and made me realize that to respect the opportunities at hand. So you may be a brilliant guy. You can solve the biggest problem in the world, but if you do not have that opportunity with you, you can call it as an opportunity. You can call it as a luck. You can call it as a God's grace. You call it whatever you want. So, but if you do not have that, and if you do not have a good team, if you do not have a good ecosystem, you will not be able to really achieve what you can achieve with all those things. So I really understood that my success is not what I made it alone. So that comes with the opportunity what I got, that comes with the team I'm working with, that works alone, also the ecosystem what I'm working. So that's the biggest lesson I've learned. So that helped me to stabilize again my career, which was little going here and there. So I was able to again pull my back, pull again, started again from ground zero. I moved on from there, and I started with this lesson. I started contributing to the new organization at that point of time. So at that time, I joined a company called Société Générale. It's a French bank. It's a French bank headquarters in Paris. So I joined a company. I joined that company as an offshore development center in Bangalore as a senior software engineer. But again, the issue was that the work was again not interesting. So I've worked much more complex problem in my school and in my college, in my college and in the initial days of my career. The work was not very interesting for me. It was given a couple of configuration we need to do to develop some screens, CRUD screens, and that's all. We need to do some couple of XML minimum to do it, and we can develop configuration screens. So that was the work given to us with very less amount of coding. It was not interesting for me, but I didn't have any other option other than continuing with that. That's when I thought that, okay, let me try to make this interesting. How can I make this interesting? Because I don't have any other option other than doing this job. So what happens is that in the engineers from Paris, engineer from Paris was considered as a little superior, and the more complex work was going to them. And the engineers from India was considered little lower, and a kind of routine, and I would say kind of less interesting less interesting work was coming to us. So that was the scenario, and I had a background of I'm coming from a place called Mahi in Kerala, so which was a French colony. So I made it like an independent war. So I took a pledge on that time, saying that, okay, let whatever the case, before I leave this organization, I make sure that every Indian engineer will get an equal respect, similar to a Paris engineer. And so that was the pledge I took at that time, and I started my independent war. So when I look at it that way, suddenly things become interesting for me. Suddenly the things which was very monotonous and very boring, it started becoming interesting to me. I started chasing the configuration, the same configuration which I used to do it in 5 days. I started doing it in 1 day. Then I started getting into the framework, and I started resolving the problems in the framework. I put the suggestion across to the Paris, and Paris started involving in the framework development. The journey started like that. In a couple of months, the entire development of that particular application, from supporting that application, the entire development of that work came to us. It was not a big application, but it was a big achievement, and it was a good start for me. From there, I worked almost 8 years in that organization. Joined as a senior software engineer in that organization. In 8 years, I was able to climb up the ladder quite fast. And when I was resigning, I was at the assistant vice president and chief architect. I was resigning as a chief architect there, and I was part of one of the major development in the trading application, which was one of the major application in an investment bank. And I can confidently say that I'm one of the major contributor in that. So yes, towards the end, yes, we were really, I'm not saying that it's not only my drive, but yes, I'm also one of the catalysts in that. We started getting that appreciation, and towards the end, the Bangalore started doing a very important development activities also in the entire society general work. Things were pretty good. So that's when my next lesson. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a fifth lesson for you. And the fifth lesson, what I have learned, which I wanted to share with you, is that it's all about how do you look at the situation. It's all about that. So it's whether the glass is half empty or the glass is half full. It's all up to you. Either you can complain that the situation, you can crib about it, application is not good, manager is not good, teacher is not good, HOD is not good. You can keep complaining about it, or you can change your perspective. You can say, oh my God, the glass is half full. At least it's half full. So you can do that. So that's the biggest. That's one of the biggest lesson I have learned. It's all about how do you look at a situation. So then things were pretty good for me. Their appreciations were there, salaries, bonus, stake options. Things were really good. I was really happy with the work what I was doing there. But still, my passion to do something on my own, my entrepreneurship was still that was there. That was missing for me. So that's when I decided that now it's a high time I should do something on my own. So that was really bothering me really, really bothering me. So that's when I started talking to people what I will be able to do it and things like that. But it was really, really tough decision coming out of a big organization with that kind of a responsibility and with that kind of a salary. The money was very, 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 very attractive there. And I was working at a 9 to 6 shift, work-life balance, money, everything was very, very comfortable. So it was a big decision. I started talking to people whom I really trust. I started attending the IAM startup sessions and things like that, where these questions, wherever I go, I started putting this question saying that how will I take this decision? How can I do this big move? So that's where in the one of the conversation which I got give me a good suggestion which I got, which I would like to share with you. What the coordinator at IAM was given me that, Mirdas, if you literally calculate your CTC, bonus, incentives and things like that, you will never start an organization. You will never do that. So the best way to look at is that how much money you have with you right now. So let's say the 10 lakh rupees at that point of time, I had a 10 lakh rupees or 12 lakh rupees I had at that point of time. So he said that, okay, you have a 12 lakh rupees with you. Now, how much money you need to survive on a monthly basis? So my expense was not very high. So I said that, okay, if I can get a 50,000 rupees a month, I can survive my family. Okay, so that 50,000 rupees into 12. So it is 6 lakhs in a year. Max, if you take it at 2 years as well, it's around 12 lakhs is what you need to for a survival. For survival, you need 12 lakh rupees. So then they say, okay, so you look at it this way. So you have 12 lakh rupees with you, which is enough for you to survive for next 2 years. In the max, you will burn out your entire 12 lakhs, but you would have really tried what you wanted to do it in your life, in your career. And if things goes well, goes well. Otherwise, you can anytime you can come back to the organization. Organization will be more than happy to take you back with the 2 years of entrepreneurship journey. They will be able to take you back at any point of time. So it's not a big deal. So it's all about 2 years. You just manage your finance and try to do it. So that gives me a good perspective. Oh, so then I completely ignored about the salary and other things. So all thing is that how much money I have with me and how much money I needed to survive for a year or so. So that becomes the calculation become very, very simple there. That helped me to take a decision quickly. I didn't have any housing loan, I didn't have any car loan and things like that. So it was quite an easy decision for me to take that. So this is the biggest lesson. This, I would say that if you wanted me to insist on one major point, I think this is the point. You have to understand that. Yes, I'm okay. You buy an iPhone 12. I'm okay. You buy BMW car or a big house. I'm okay. You do that, but do not buy an iPhone on credit card. Do not buy a BMW car with a 10 years loan. Do not buy a big house with a 20-25 years liability. So plan your finance responsibly. If you plan your finance responsibly, if you have that little bit bandwidth to play around, then that will really help you in future when you really wanted to try something in your life. It will really help you. So that's the last thing which I would like to share with you. So with all this lessons and with all these things, I've started my organization in 2015. It was a big change from a 9 to 6 job. We started working on almost 18 to 19 hours a day. There were a lot of challenges, but my lessons in my life really helped me. I know that I'm playing a marathon. So marathon, if you have to run a 42 kilometer, it's not an easy task. So you have to really pace yourself. You have to really look for an opportunity. So you have to wait for an opportunity. Opportunities doesn't jump and come in front of you. So all the lesson, what I have learned in my life. So all that matter is, can you solve the problem? So we really started looking into solving the problem. So we started working with the customers. We started trying to find out what are the problems people are facing. We started with a small simple solution. We really started working with people. So innovation doesn't come with a big solution. No, never innovation will not come with a big solution. It is always a small problem. You identify problems, you start working on towards the problem. So we started doing that. It doesn't matter. So when that time we were almost like I was having around 12 years of experience. I was at my 30s. So it doesn't really matter. We started at 30 or we started at 20. We started focusing on that. We were really into it. We were really passionate about it. So we were able to keep going. And then again, the entrepreneurship is a marathon. So we always keep reminding that it's a marathon. We are here to run a marathon. So small hurdles, small issues never disturbed in the journey. Then we started appreciating, even if it is a small opportunities. No, man, this is not good. I would like to do artificial intelligence. I would like to do machine learning. I would like to do, so we keep thinking, okay, big data. I wanted to work on big data. It doesn't really matter. Opportunities are in hand. The problems in hand. You thank God for that, and you start working on that. So we started appreciating the team. We started appreciating the opportunities we got, and we continue working on that. Then all about the next lesson, all about how do you look at the situation. So whenever things are tough, we start looking at the other side, and we started making us comfortable. And one such occasion is that our growth rate was slowed down. We were not really able to grow faster. So that's when we said that, it's okay, because big companies, what are the big startups? Whatever well-known startup, now they are no more startup, but Amazon, Flipkart, Uber, Ola. Then we say that, none of them are profitable, but we are profitable. We are a profitable organization. I can stand in front of them and saying that we are a profitable organization, but are you? So we started looking things at a positive way. We started looking things at a different perspective, and which helped me to grow harder. And again, plan your finance. So these are the things which really help us to grow. And I would like to summarize my discussion with saying that we recently had a discussion with FedEx USA. So when we have a discussion with FedEx USA, initially when in 2015, 2016, we contacted FedEx USA, they were not giving us, because we were nothing in front of them. Now also we are small in front of them, but they were not really giving any opportunity for us to work with them. But now last time when I spoke to a FedEx USA coordinator, so he said that around 400 customer support team members are there in FedEx, which is working globally. And he said that 70% of them heard about Plugin Hive and heard about Plugin Hive solutions from the merchants we supported them. So that gives us immense pleasure, saying that a small company, which is a 20-member team sitting in Bangalore, is able to do some kind of problem solving, help the 70,000 merchants across the globe. And a company like FedEx, which is having an operation in 220 countries, 70% of the support staff heard about our name. So that's give us immense pleasure. Yes, but I understand that it's a journey. Is just we just started a journey, long way to go for us. Again, so that's all from my side. And once again, I'm thanking Geeta ma'am and the team at the college for giving me this opportunity. I can answer if you have any particular question. I'm happy to answer.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience. Yes, we are open for the questions. Anybody is having any question, they can write in the chat box also, and they can unmute their mic and ask.
Yes, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah,
This is Nidhi from MCA department.
Okay.
So I have a question in chat box. I have given that. It's a wonderful session that you explained with all the examples. Just one question is that entrepreneurship is about the profit and loss, and rather it is a mix-up of all the risk and passion. So whatever I learned from your experiences, is this what I can conclude, or is there something else that is involved? Or like you are saying that you have helped also the people in such a great manner. So what I think is that it is about profit and loss, the journey of this entrepreneurship, or this, what I can think about is.
Nidhi, the thing is that it boils down to profit and loss when it comes to survival. So you will not exist if you do not really bother about the profit and loss. You will not be existing in the first place. So because when you are moving, when we moved, when I was every day, every 30th of month, I used to work 9 to 6 job, and on the 30th day I used to get my salary without even bothering about it. And I used to be really arrogant. Their way also, come on, yeah, they are giving me peanuts. So that's even I used to get a good salary. I used to complain about that. So from that point of view, when I become an entrepreneur, I realized that I have to pay salary to 20 people, including myself. So that becomes a big challenge. So now if I get an opportunity to go back to my old managers every on 30th day when I get a salary, I'll go to his room and I'll say, Namaste, thank you, sir, for the salary. Because so you do not realize, unless until you start the journey of an entrepreneur, you do not really realize that how hard to get that salary on time. So yes, Niti, I should say that if you do not target, if you do not really bother about profit and loss, you will not survive. So that is about the survival aspect of it. But your second point about your passion and the risk, that's what it's your driving factor. If you do not have that, first place, you will not dive into something like this. So I would like to literally bifurcate these two activities. Entrepreneurship is without a loss and profit, you will not survive. So that becomes your fuel. That becomes your fundamentals to survive. It's like your oxygen and water. So you consider it something like that. But the passion and risk is what is driving you. So if that is what making you, making you get up in the morning, work 18 hours, you have a small girl to take care, you have a family to take care, but you have to contribute 18 hours to work. So that passion and risk, the passion is what giving you that energy to continue. But without a loss and profit, you will not survive. So did I answer your question, anything?
Yes, sir, definitely. Very nice explanation. I got it. And thanks a lot for this wonderful explanation, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, any other questions?
Mirdas, thank you very much. And, you have explained the things in very simple manner so that our student can understand. And big congratulations to Geeta ma'am. It is a proud moment for the faculty to moderate a session where his student is there and who is doing wonders. So thank you, Mirdas. You have done a wonderful job for our students. I appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Mirdas, yeah, continue. What else you ask?
Mirdas sir, is Shailesh Gondal. Very nicely you have explained each and everything. Sir, I want to ask that you were doing job and you were satisfied in that. Then which all things motivated you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah. Thanks, Shailesh sir. Sir, it's again about you get up in the morning. You get up in the morning and you feel that you have accomplished something. So let's say that let's talk about a case of a runner who is a state champion or state champion or a school champion. Okay, one of the student is a school champion. So if he is happy with that school champion being about a school champion, then it's okay. I think we don't need to really push for it. But when you get up after becoming the school champion, but in the next day morning when he wakes up, he's not feeling that excited about it. On the day when he became a school champion, he was really excited, happy. He did wow, wonder, everything is done. But on the next day when he got up, he's not feeling the same excitement anymore. But everybody is appreciating him for the school achievement, school champion, lot of friends, lot of fans. But on the second day, on the third day, he is not feeling that excitement. Come on, yaar, what happened? I'm a school champion. So then he started looking into maybe a state level. He started speaking to state level people. So then he started again his journey. Again, he started waking up in the morning. Again, he started running. So that's about it, sir. But if the guy is really feeling on the morning 6 o'clock, oh, come on, yaar, I'm a school champion. I'm happy with it. Yes, I'm okay with him because he would have worked hard. He would have worked hard to become a school champion where thousands of students are there. He's a school champion now. Let him enjoy. Let him peacefully sleep. So do not disturb him. Do tease him saying that, "Arey yaar, you are sleeping," and the others are again started going. I think we don't need to do that. It's all about what is your inner instinct says that. Sir, did I answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, very nicely, sir. You have answered my question.
Mirdas, I wanted to ask you this, like you started a few years back and you started this journey. So did you have to, like, did you change your tactics or strategies because of COVID, or how it impacted you, or like how things, what you were working prior to COVID and after COVID, whether things have changed, or did it impact you at all?
Yeah. Ma'am, see, COVID is one thing. So okay, so COVID happened just now. So it is in this year is what COVID happened. So lot of things happened. Lot of things will happen in. It's really fun. If I would love to, if I get an opportunity again, I would love to be an entrepreneur. Considering all the plus and minus, I would love to be an entrepreneur. But still, my wife and myself, we speak sometimes saying that if we consider in our life, one of the best days in our life was the time when I was working with the Society General as an assistant vice president, and my wife was working in Target as a senior manager. So if we do a retrospective, one of the best days in our life was the time where we were working as an employees. That was a really work-life balance was there. So now also, if you consider that was one of the best time in our life, as I'm primarily focusing on the personal life there. So, but now if you ask me, or God is asking me, saying that, "Oh, Mirdas, in next life, what do you want it to be?" I would, without a doubt, I would say I would want it to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to do maybe little earlier than what I did it this time. So entrepreneurship is about a journey, ma'am. Everybody in this world want to pull you down. Every small things in this world want to drag you down. If you say in terms of everybody will treat you. So for example, the officials, the government officials. Okay, we'll say, or we will say a lot of things about everybody. Every obstacles will come in front of you. Do you have a GST compliance? You have that. You have this. Everywhere you will have a challenges. You will realize that the kind of area where you are nurturing it disappeared. The kind of source of income you are getting last 3 years, it disappeared on one day. So you think about COVID. Luckily, to answer your question directly, luckily it didn't impact us, because we are in an e-commerce space, we are in an online space. It started working towards, it is little supporting us, but many ventures have started finding difficulty. But this is not only COVID, ma'am. COVID is the things which you guys are aware of it. Everybody in the world is aware of it. But entrepreneur journey is pretty much every time is pretty much something like this. One or other things will start coming up. We had instances in our companies where we were getting almost our 50% of our source of income. Suddenly one morning when I got up, that source of income is vanished. 50 to 60% of the income got vanished. So then again we have to start from there. Our team, so we are very close with our team. So our team really helped us, and all of us together helped again. We started building from there, and we survived. So entrepreneurship is like that, ma'am. Every day you will have with obstacles, and you will have challenges, you will have problems. You imagine, ma'am, you are getting you have to give salary, you have to bear a lot of expenses, and suddenly 50 to 60% of the income is stopping is not a small thing. So the COVID is one thing which everybody is aware of, but entrepreneur's journey is about a lot of ups and downs. But that's the beauty about it. So that's what I summarize, saying that if I get one more life, I would like to be an entrepreneur. And maybe before becoming an entrepreneur, I was kind of planning to retire at my 40 or 45. I was planning to retire. Now if you ask me, God forbid, and if I'm healthy, as far as I'm healthy, I will continue to be an entrepreneur. I will continue to be contribute to the economy. I will continue to grow the organization. I will continue to contribute to the growth of my team, their career. I would do that as far as I'm healthy.
Yeah, thank you, Mirdas. And like what I want to add here is like among the students of your batch, so it never occurred to me that Veerdas will be an entrepreneur. So like you never know, like no, because he was a very quiet child. Like you were not very what to say, outgoing, so as to say, as far as I remember. So this is a lesson to all the students. Like each one of you can become an entrepreneur, and each one of you have some kind of instincts in you which will help you become an entrepreneur. So thank you so much, Veerdas, for coming today. And Ina, to take over. Any more questions?
And any question from the students?
Hi, sir. My name is Kunal, sir. I'm from MC department.
Yes, Kunal.
Sir, I have one question, sir. When you was to start your startup, sir, as a fresher entrepreneur, sir, what you look for first? First, you just want to get a profit, or you just want to survive in the market? So you have planned, okay, I have 6 months or 1 year after I'll get the profits. I have, sir, just doubt for this one, sir.
Yeah. Kunal, thank you for asking this question. See, Kunal, the entrepreneurship is about the journey. So now, let's say that on a given day you are thinking that, okay, I am going to start my entrepreneurship. So now what happens? Now who is going to give you money? Either your father has to give you money, or some VC has to give money, or the customer has to give money. These are the three people who can help you with money. So the customer is going to give you money only maybe after a year or after 2 years. So that's a survival. So that is the point about it. So can you survive for 2 years till the time where the customers are going to give you, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. That's when the customers are going to give you money. So you need to really think about that financial aspect of it. That's what I was saying, that plan your finance accordingly. So that's very important. You need to have that fuel to survive. So then comes to your question about, am I going to look for a profit? Am I going to look for a solution? So I would say that if you look for, so I would like to saying here, Kunal, pretty much all of you may be aware that there's a big saying in especially on the Hindu religion. There's a big saying that I love that saying, that you follow Saraswati, you go behind Saraswati. Or other way, you go behind Lakshmi. So what happens is that if you go behind Lakshmi, it is a symbol of money. So if you go behind Lakshmi, Saraswati is going to desert you. And since Saraswati is not there with you, Lakshmi is also going to go away from you. On a vice versa, you go behind Saraswati, you go behind knowledge, you go behind solution, automatically Saraswati will be with you. The moment Saraswati is with you, automatically Lakshmi is also will start following you. So that's a fundamental of your. If you think that on a day one, if you think about profit and loss, I think you're going to reach nowhere. So, but again I'm summarizing. You need some money to survive. So you have that money, you arrange that money to survive couple of years. You let your father fund you, let a VC fund you, or you have your own pocket money to do that. So you think about your survival. Then you go behind knowledge, you go behind solutioning, you go behind problems, you go behind innovation. Then automatically profit and loss will start coming. So that comes in the next stage of your entrepreneurship.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So firstly, we have to analyze the market. So where we get the profits, right, sir?
no, Kunal. You will not do that, because see what happens. You look for opportunities. Well, it's money. You keep the money aspect away for this point of time, Kunal. Forget about the money right now. You will think about money later. You think about you start exploring. You start exploring opportunities. You start exploring what are the problems. It could be very simple problem. It could be very simple problem. To give you a perspective. Let us say that there is a Stone Age. So there was an age where was a Stone Age, where people started doing a lot of things with a stone. There was an age which is called as the wheel. The invention of wheel was an age. So everything we started doing with a wheel and started the motors have started from. There was an age where it was fire. So a lot of inventions around fire. So people started cooking and things like that. Lot of things come. But now this is actually age for information technology or a computer. So this is the age for that. So you are a fortunate guy. You born in that particular age, and where all the other things are already settled. But do you see how much of program your in your daily basis cooking or your day-to-day activities, how much program we are using? We are not using any program. The only program we may be using may be a YouTube cooking class YouTube, or maybe using a Google map to go from one location to another location. Other than that, we are not using any of the programs here. So there are lots to do here in the mechanical industry. IoT revolutions are happening. So mechanical, the factories are trying to automate it with programs. So recently I had a conversation with the Volvo engineering team. So they were expecting us to work with them on completely automating. So the smallest problem they are facing is that they don't know where their tools are. So they have a lift, the lift gators, and a lot of heavy equipments are there. They don't know where it is. They don't know whether it is utilized or not. They don't know where their resources, basically tools, spanner, big machines, they don't know about it. You think about it, it's the Volvo. They are one of the biggest company, but they do not have an internal program, internal software to monitor where their tools are. Is it effectively used or not? So that's where. So you look in your life. You think, is there anything? You one day you monitor your mother completely from morning to evening. What is she doing? You just monitor her. And you see any of our daily life, can I automate this for her? You just think about it. Maybe you realize that she is watering a plant. So can you make a small some IoT device which will automatically plant water for her? Maybe you think that every day morning she's getting up and 6 o'clock switching on the light. Can you develop a small device automatically in the 6 o'clock? It will switch on light. You just monitor your mother full day and see, can you do a simple automation for her, which she will thank you for that. So that becomes your first customer. So the moment she thank you, you ask her, Mom, can you give me 10 rupees? So she will give you 10 rupees. So that becomes your first money. If that happens, if she's with Dilse, if she can give you 10 rupees for the effort with the kind of automation you have done for her, then from there onwards, I don't think you will worry about profit and loss. That will start coming behind you.
Thank you so much, sir. I got it, my answer. Thank you so much.
Any other students? Yeah, anybody can ask questions.
Any question, very simple question also you can ask.
Yes. A simple question.
Have a good opportunity to ask him today. Students?
Hello.
Yes.
So this is Professor Nitin Kulkarni. I would like to ask one question.
Yes.
So we talked about keeping up the motivation during entrepreneurship journey. So what are your tips of keeping that motivation on? Because sometimes what happens is in the initial days, people first try to solve the problem, then they try to look for the profits, then they are not able to match the two somewhere, and then they lose that hope, and in that despair, they drop the entrepreneurship journey. So what are your golden tips to keep that motivation on, solving the problems continuously? Because we understand one part, we understand that we need to solve problems genuinely to build that big name, but it's hard to keep that motivation, because when we look around, we see people earning big amounts and then losing hope. Is like many times people lose hope and lose that confidence in becoming an entrepreneur at all.
Yeah. Thanks, Nitin sir, for asking this question. Sir, it is not only about entrepreneurship, sir. So what happens is that I worked almost 12 years before starting this journey. If you ask me, one of the biggest comment I have received from the company, that one of my VP that time, and he's an iTech head right now. So he told me that, Mirdas, can you please tell me, how do you maintain your energy level? So I've seen you when you joined 8 years ago in the company. I've seen you that time, and I see you now as well. How do you keep up your energy level? So that is something he asked me. So it is, whether you are in a career, whether you are into college, whether you are a professor, whether you are a sports person, whether you are a Sachin Tendulkar, it's everywhere. This energy maintaining is a problem, sir. So that is where I would say that it's all about how do you look at it. How do you look at it, sir? So if you start comparing yourself with people who are higher than you, for example. When you are struggling in your entrepreneurship drive, when you compare yourself with Ola CEO, when you compare yourself with the Bill Gates, and you compare with all of them, then again definitely you are going to wind up and you are going to join them as soon as possible. But instead that you can look at the other way. You can look at the other way, saying that, see, now we are 2015, we have started the organization, and now we are under 2020. We have completed 6 years of our journey. But sir, there are people who have not even survived a year, who have survived 2 years. I have worked with a lot of engineers. I have worked with a lot of IITians. I have worked with a lot of NITians. Now there are people, the moment I say entrepreneurship, they are scared, because they really are scared of it. So there are a lot of people who have miserably failed in this particular journey, couldn't survive in this particular journey. So when I compare myself with them, I get motivated. Okay, come on, I did at least this much, and thoda I have to move a little more. So I say that it is a perspective. How do you look at things? So now being a sir, the professor, so you see that, okay, I am a professor, I am so you will be able to do a lot of things. You will be able to do a lot of things. So when you compare with somebody higher you, who achieved much above you, then you may get demotivated. So yes, this Sachin Tendulkar and this kind of inspirations are good. But if you really comparing on because you mentioned about people who are making money and things like that, when you compare with them, then you will get demotivated. When you compare people lesser achieved lesser, then you will get motivated. And so I would say that make it into a two-piece. You take an inspiration from Sachin Tendulkar. So that is your dream. So you cook up your dream around Sachin Tendulkar, but never ever calculate Sachin Tendulkar finance and your finance. Never ever do that. So keep Sachin Tendulkar as your target, and you wanted to become a Sachin Tendulkar. And when it comes to comparison, you compare always people less fortunate people than you. I think that will give you a good balance. So in career as well, we used to work with a lot of schools and a lot of orphanages and things like that. I think that will also give you a lot of energy, because you will see that you have a bigger responsibility in your hand. You have to do a lot of things. You are at a really fortunate. I'm telling in general. You will understand that you are a really fortunate guy. You have got a lot of responsibility to do. That will give you some kind of kick. That will give you some kind of energy booster, saying that, come on, I have to do something. I have to do something to the society and things like that. So I think there are different ways to motivate you, keep your energy level. Good health will motivate you. Sometimes you feel low. You do not realize that, maybe because of you are not exercising, maybe you are not doing yoga and things like that. So I think there are a lot of ways to keep the motivation level up. It is not about entrepreneurship. Yes, in entrepreneurship it becomes really hard, but it's everywhere. Being a professor, being Sachin Tendulkar, being everywhere, this energy problem is there, sir.
Appreciate your response, sir. Actually, very well explained, perfectly answered. Sir, an allied question with this. We talk about risks. Actually, when we talk about risks, we talk about, from the entrepreneurial aspect, we talk about calculated risks. We say there are chances and there are risks. We need to take risks, not the chances. So how an entrepreneur looks at the risks and how an innovator looks at the risks, is there any difference in the perspective, particularly while managing the team or doing it themselves? Because innovators are generally people doing by themselves, whereas entrepreneurs are mostly into now managing teams to make that goal or make that thing happen. So how an entrepreneur looks at the risks and how the innovator looks at the risks? Because you have been from the innovators to entrepreneur. So how do you see as an innovator looking at the risk factors and entrepreneur looking at the risk factors?
Nitin sir, I feel it is both look at it in the same way is what I would say. It's all how much you can take it. That's about the simple answer to that. It's all about how much you can take it. if you talk about innovator, so I think by using an innovator word, you are thinking about a kind of an individual contributor. So if you say about an individual contributor, it's all about how much he can take it. Because if you see that, let's talk about a singer. So a person who wants to become a singer. So now he learned all this, the basic, all different sort of Carnatic music and all these things, and also he learned all forms of singing, and he learned it. And he's really passionate about it. He's a good singer as well, but he's not getting an opportunity. So you see the kind of pressure that guy or girl will be carrying, because parents will be comparing them. Parents will say, "Yaar, see, dekho, usko dekho." So they have already started earning so much money. They are taking care of the father, so they are able to. The father is able to risk, and I am your father. See my halat. So lot of things they have to really go through. To really 99.9% of them will not become a singer. So it is all about how much that guy or a girl can take it. So when you say, the problem is that when you look at innovation, when you look at innovation, when you look at problem solving, the problem is that we think that innovation is something big. We have to do we have to invent one rocket and send the rocket to moon. That is what innovation. But whenever you have any kind of that problems like that, you think about a singer. How a singer becoming a singer, how a dancer is becoming a dancer, how a cricketer is becoming cricket. Whatever the challenges he is facing, the same scientist also will face the same thing. But you will be able to relate more to a singer or a cricketer or this thing. You will be able to relate more because you would have played one of the role in your career. You wouldn't have played a scientist role. So that knowledge will give you that how can you become a scientist. So the answer to your question, sir, it's all about how much you can take it. So the risk comes with that. If you ask this question, how much risk you can take it. If you ask Ambani's, or if you ask Ratan Tata, and the number what he's saying could be much different from the numbers me or sir, you will be talking, sir. So it's all about how much that person can take it. So the risk is my definition is that how much that person can take it. It depends on individual.
Yeah, perfectly explained, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Got it.
Thank you, sir.